What's up, guys? Just kind of chilling out in the garage here, and thought I'd show off a couple of little projects I've been working on. Um, I broke out my old brass nemesis tube, put my Spire Cleto on it. I've been using this the last couple days just for ease of access. I haven't exactly been where I could just use this monster all the time. It is contrary to what some of you may think. It's kind of large, and you can't just put it in your pocket and carry it around. I also kind of smoked the cotton a minute ago. I guess about a solid week of vaping at 300 watts will do that. But anyways, I'll put that bad boy off to the side here. So, get that out of the way. We'll talk about that in a second. If you'll notice, there's a little bit of solder on the side of that. There's also some on the switch here. That video quality is terrible. Okay, I don't know what's up with that. I'm going to have to look at some settings. But this is a basic nemesis. I think I paid like $60 for this. It was a clone, I'm sure. But the dual piece design, fantastic if you want to use 18350s, but they're basically garbage. I only have 4 18650s, and that's just backup anyways. So what I did is I basically disassembled the entire mod. I polished all the joints up, polished up the threads here, and I soldered it together. Used an oxyacetylene torch to heat it, and got a little splash on it, a little extra solder on the side there. But that is soldered together now permanently. I pulled the positive pin out of the top. You might. And I coated it with a little bit of silver bearing solder, just the contact area. Did the same thing on the switch contact. And I also, of course, I guess I could just disassemble this and show you guys. These pins are copper, and when I got it, they were silver plated. And it wore off extremely quickly, like the first probably month that I had it at the time. So what I did, you can actually still see some of the original silver plating on the bottom there. Recoated the top of the contact there, and then coated the inside of the switch with silver bearing solder. The actual shaft here has been coated with silver bearing solder as well. The brass was really worn out, so that was actually just as much a mechanical contact issue as it was just getting a better surface. So that entire piece has been coated inside with silver bearing solder. I did the same thing with the custom copper pin that I made for it. I've just got a brass spring that I made as well back in the day. I was honestly nervous as to whether it would even work. I did not expect, I guess I gotta put the pin on. Did not expect it to work near as well as it did. It actually improved the voltage drop by a solid quarter of a volt, 0.25 volts, easily. That was the lowest measurement of voltage drop change, which is a huge improvement on a mechanical mod. I was extremely impressed with that. And it also made the performance on my Cleto, improve the performance of it extremely well. I'm just using the 0.2 ohm coil in it. I could not believe the performance of that. If you guys have any questions about that, if you check out my Facebook page, which I will link in the description, I do have photos of before and after I coated everything and soldered it up. If you do decide to do that, flux is your friend. Lots of flux. Also, I kind of got back into the trend recently of hammering my wire flat. I may have shown some of that. I'm not sure if I've shown any of my flattened builds here lately. But there's lots of ways to do it. I've got a small roller that I made it work, but I've just about worn it out. So I pulled out a piece of heavy-duty steel that we use to make mounts for the motors that we work on, and I basically just polished the face up. It's a little bit rough, but that's just, I can't really get those out with the equipment that I have, but that's super smooth. It doesn't leave any imprints on the wire whatsoever. So that is my block. This is my hammer. This was actually almost a solid inch longer total on both ends, and then at least a 1/4 inch larger in diameter originally. This was a very old brass hammerhead that I found. It was going to be salvaged at work, scrapped, whatever you want to call it. So I took it and turned it down in the lathe until it was a nice, pretty hammerhead again. And the faces of that are accurate within 1/1000th of an inch now. Very super smooth, very smooth face. Next step on those is actually to take my buffer to them and actually buff them to a mirror finish, and then I'm probably going to buff on this some more as well. But that is a perfectly flat finish on that. That is, I've yet to actually even get to use it. I kind of don't want to, because I don't want to mar up the face of the hammer. But that's wonderful. That's just kind of what I've been working on here lately. Hopefully here pretty quick I'll be getting the lipo in for my next lipo PWM box. It is the lipo I'm going to use, excuse me, is a Turnigy Nanotech. It's a 2 series 2 parallel 7,500 milliamp hour 90C, rated 675 amps continuous discharge at 8.4 volts. I did look at some of the newer high voltage lipos that are available. I believe it's a Basher brand. They're rated at 4.35 volts maximum per cell. So an 8.4 volt would actually be 8.65 volts. Is that right? No. 8.7 volts, I'm sorry. So definitely a substantial increase in voltage, but the capacity and discharge rating was not nearly enough. So, I've forgotten the wattage. 8.4 volts times 675 amps. You can figure out the watts on that. It's substantial. It's over 5,000 watts. You can't pull that much power on a 8.4 volt LiPo. It's not possible with an inductive heating element. As a matter of fact, a 0.02 ohm coil at 8.4 volts, no voltage drop, none of that, just basic math, will pull, I believe, like 460 amps is maximum. So the plan is to use that LiPo and 3 3034 MOSFETs attached to this solid copper bus bar that I made. This will actually be drilled and threaded to be the ground for a brass 510 that I'm making as well. This will be soldered onto that. The MOSFETs will be tied here, 3 of them in parallel. I'm also in the process of making a brass heatsink that will be soldered to either side with fins on that, cooling fins. So potentially it could do 600 amps. Yeah, it's a lot of fucking power. Completely unnecessary. But totally worth it. I'm saying a lot tonight. It's late. I was trying to think. The wattage that I worked out with 0.02 ohms at 8.4 volts was just over 3,500 watts, or just is right at 3,500 watts. Functional, usable. That's only at like 400 something amps at 8.4 volts. So completely doable. And I honestly think that once I get it finished, I will be able to post a video for you guys of 3,000 watt, 3 kilowatt vaping. I don't think it's going to be nearly as difficult as running the 12 volt, running this thing at 1,000 watts. It'll certainly be easier to build the coils because I can just get some big ass 18 gauge in it, or 16 gauge. That's the ticket right there. We'll get some 16 gauge. We'll hammer that shit flat with this thing. And I might even show a video, do a video of doing the build for that. I do have an amazing coil that that I actually have finished, that I tried to run in this box and it did it, but it drained the battery in about 4 hours. It was 0.04 ohm. It was running like 1200 watts after voltage drop, but it was it's just too much. Burn through cotton just as quick as it burned through the lipo. I think that's pretty much it. Oh, so I'm always digging for stuff, as you can see by finding that. I found an old box of 7.4 milliliter glass sterile vials. They were sealed in a sealed container. The vials were sealed individually. So I grabbed a handful of them and brought them home. They haven't been used in probably 30 years. I don't even know if you could actually still call them sterile. They're only 7.4 milliliters, so obviously useless for mixing any kind of daily fluid. But here's a couple of them right here. I've got some samples that I've been making, and they will just sit up in my shelf and steep for as long as I can handle it. Actually, I'm going to show you guys my juice shelf. This is, I get all of my supplies from Heartland Vapes. It is local here in Oklahoma. There's a nice good face shot for you. Got all my flavors. If you'll notice, I don't even know if you guys can read it because it probably can't focus. I've got gummy candy, Skittles, Sweet Tarts, Smarties, more gummy candy. There's a whole nother bottle of gummy candy down here. Another bottle of gummy candy. Sour raspberry sweetener, blueberry. That's my flavor profile. Sweet, gummy, sour candies. That's my shit right there. If you guys would like, I will do a video of me mixing my fluid. I don't have a lab. I don't make it for anyone else, and I don't sell it. Have no intention to. Maybe one day down the line I'll open a vape shop and I'll set myself up an actual ISO 7 certified lab and do it right. But currently, it's purely for my own use. No one else uses it. No one else touches it. It is rare that anyone even vapes on it because nobody even wants to use my box. But anyways, if you guys would like, I can post a video of me mixing my fluid, kind of give you guys an idea of how I do it. I may even set up the desktop with the Steam engine so that I can show you guys how I work out everything, which if you don't have Steam engine, they have an app for both Android and Apple, I believe. It is a wonderful, wonderful app to have. You can do the coil builds, you can do the fluid. It's not a plug, they're not paying me for that. I've just used the shit out of it. It makes almost everything that you do much easier. It takes the thinking out of it. And the less thinking you have to do, the better. Anyways, I will post the link for my Facebook group in the comments or in the description. There is a full teardown, rebuild photo set of this if you guys want to check it out, and feel free to shoot me a message on there, and Yeah. Vape on, guys.